Peace is the beauty of life. It is the sunshine. It is the smile of a child, the love of a mother, the joy of a father, the togetherness of a family. It is the advancement of man, the victory of a just cause, the triumph of truth, and many more. These are the words of Menachem Begin, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy and Public Utilities, Honorable Ivan Leslie Collendavelloo, Secretary General, Halley Movement and Coordinator of the Mauritius Internet Governance Forum, Mr. Mahendranath Busgopaul, Chairman, Internet Governance Forum Support Association, Mr. Marcus Kummer, VP of Vision Ventures, Mr. Kaynan Rabino, Program Specialist, ECPAT International, Ms. Esther, Beatrice, Kavesu, Gacengo, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of the Mauritius Internet Governance Forum 2018. I am Tabi Okontabi, and I'll be your anchor for the event. The Mauritius Internet Governance Forum, organized by Halley Movement, is an initiative powered by the drive to elucidate key factors surrounding internet technologies. This is a platform to dialogue on policies and issues that relate to not only Mauritius as a country, but the world at large. Established in 1990, Halley Movement has for over 2 decades been a forerunner in driving positive change in the social well-being of children and vulnerable individuals in Mauritius and its environs. We are not unaware of the two-sided impacts of the internet on the modern-day society, and once again, Halley Movement has taken the responsibility to open the floor for a discourse aimed at highlighting challenges and putting forth possible solutions to these challenges as experienced in our societies today. Ladies and gentlemen, here present are leaders of governments, captains of industries, and seasoned professionals who believe in the mandate to contribute towards a better future. I can assure you with no doubt that every session here today has been structured to be both educative and informative, and at the end of the day transform our societies in the long run. I believe that you're going to have a wonderful time. We're going to have about 5 sessions of so many discussions on topics that hit key areas in our societies relating to the child and technologies that influence our societies at large. I believe that you're open to answer questions when they're thrown at you, and also you're open to learn more, and you've come with so many questions to throw at our panel members because they are ready to answer your questions. We're not just here as a meeting so we have a name that we've had a meeting. We're here to solve real-life problems, and so we're going to do it together. Once again, I say you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So right now, without further ado, I'd like to open the floor by inviting the Secretary General of Halley Movement International, Mr. Mahendranath Busgopaul, for his welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together.
Thank you, Tabi. The Honorable Ivan Collendavelloo, GCSK SC, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy and Public Utilities, international experts and colleagues, Excellencies, distinguished guests, Deputy Lord Mayor Portlis, representative of the European Union, members of the press, colleagues and staff of Halley Movement, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to the Mauritius Internet Governance Forum 2018. The Mauritius Internet Governance Forum 2018 is an initiative of Halley Movement supported by various partners to make this event a reality. The purpose of Mauritius IGF is to encourage dialogue across sectors on internet governance, and this year's theme is child protection and internet governance in Africa. Various stakeholders and partners have come together for this 2-day event, which started yesterday. In Mauritius, according to official figures from the Central Statistical Office, in 2017 alone, Mauritius had over 900,000 broadband internet subscriptions. In 2016, 87.3% of persons aged 5 years and above use a mobile phone compared to around 83% in 2014. It was also revealed that the most common place for using a computer was the home, 82.1%, followed by the workplace, 34.9%. Irrespective of the official data from the authority, it is undeniable that ICT forms part of our everyday life, be it at home, be it at work, at school, or when you are on the move. More importantly, internet and the various mediums through which we can have access to information, such as mobile phones, tablets, laptops, and desktops, are now available and are being used by our children. Whilst the internet is acknowledged as being a useful tool, we should also consider the specific needs and rights of different users, that is, the children and young persons. You will agree with me that not everyone has the skills, needs, and understanding. Children are particularly vulnerable as the content on the internet is primarily designed for others who have a level of appreciation. Halley movement advocates for a deeper dialogue around the issues affecting children and internet. Children in Mauritius is no different from children from the mainland of Africa. Halley movement advocates for policy and governance to ensure that children's rights are respected, be it online or offline, in particular to resources to enable them to develop to their full potential, to protection, that is protection against the various risks and threats to children's dignity, survival, and development, and to participation, that is children shall be afforded an opportunity to engage with processes that affect them and giving them the chance to participate in making of such processes. Internet service providers shall recognize that a large majority of internet users are now children, and they have a duty to recognize the children's rights and their policies and structures. The state and civil society are major actors in ensuring that the rights of children are respected on the digital highway. Children shall have access to internet, and appropriate legislative frameworks need to be put in place to ensure that children do not become the victim of exploitation or prey of people with ill motives, but rather conducive framework exists to enable them to prosper in a good online environment. Halley movement has already started an awareness campaign for parents and children to educate them on the issues surrounding the use of internet by children, namely the dangers and how to face them. In addition, Halley movement, through its online helpline, is providing means for children and parents to report inappropriate content found on the internet to us. Today, we have a spectrum of speakers who are involved in either providing internet services or using internet to provide their respective services. They will be sharing their experience and, more importantly, will elaborate on the rights of children on internet. The main theme of Mauritius Internet Governance Forum 2018 is child protection and internet governance in Africa. As this year's event, Halley movement has invited various international partners, and we are happy to have amidst us for Mauritius IGF 2018, the Chief Executive of Good Deeds Day, the Regional Child Protection Specialist at UNICEF, the Public Policy Manager at Facebook, the Head of International Department at Beijing Children's Legal Aid and Research Center, and last but not least, the Program Specialist from ICPAT International. We also have amidst us the CEO of AFRILIC, who is a partner to this event. Day one, yesterday, witnessed the taking place of the first Mauritius Youth Internet Governance Forum. And I am happy to share with you that the younger generation voiced out their ideas and also their concerns in order to take forward this agenda. Let us all join hands together to make sure that internet remains a global, open, and free space. a space where people enjoy the same rights as they do offline and have the same degree of protection. I wish to thank the Deputy Prime Minister for being present today at this important event. His presence today shows the commitment of the state to this important topic. Thank you, Deputy. I would also like to thank you participants for accepting to come and engage in the dialogue around child protection and internet governance. I would also take this opportunity to thank all our partners who are making this event become a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. Before I invite our next speaker, I'd like to just give a little quote that says, "Every time you do a good deed, you shine the light a little further into the dark. And the thing is, when you are gone, that light keeps shining and scares away the darkness." Good deeds are about changing the lives of people every day for a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, may we put our hands together as we welcome Mr. Kaynan Rabino, Chief Executive Officer, Good Deeds Day.
Good morning, all the guests. My name is Kaynan and I represent Good Deeds Day. It's a global day of doing good. So we take one day and celebrate the doing good that we do all year. I'm happy to be here and happy to represent Good Deeds Day and happy to be in this conference learning about internet governance and the internet at all. I want to emphasize one thing. Yesterday and also today we talked a lot about the security of the internet. I would love that the next conference that we'll do on the internet will talk about how good we can do through the internet. This is a very strong and powerful tool that we have in our hands. It's still very young and we really can harness it to doing good. I don't know if you know one of the biggest campaigns that there was, the ice bucket challenge, when people, threw water on themselves for ALS, and they brought millions of dollars to research and for awareness to ALS. And there's more and more campaigns like that going through the internet and making us understand more and more social problems and also bringing solutions. If we look at the start of the 19th, we saw revolutions in cars. Okay, so car will start building, and I'm sure they probably had a conference like this about cars and saying how cars are so bad because they hit people. How cars are so bad, we have so many accidents. We don't need cars. Or probably they talked about you don't have any more, you don't walk anymore, you don't run anymore because you have a car. So they probably had a conference on cars. But can we imagine today our life without cars? Can we imagine today our life without going places faster and farther? So the same thing is about the internet. We need to learn how to use it and how to use it right. We see today, like the industry of cars, that today we see cars, they stop by themselves when they see a danger. We see cars with airbags to secure us. So the same thing we need also on the internet. We need all kinds of mechanisms to make us safe, and we have here a representative of Facebook, and we see a lot of tools that Facebook does today to help us secure the internet, but we need also a lot of education. And like our parents, when we got our first license and our parents drove with us for the first week, 2 weeks, few months, we need the same thing here also. Parents taking responsibility on their kids, helping them understand how to use safely the internet and how you can do good with the internet. How can you bring more knowledge? Today, me and a person in a rural area in Africa have the same knowledge. Both of us have smartphones, both of us have access to the internet, that it means that both of us can get all the knowledge. I don't have an advantage on him in this area. And this is something great that happened in our world, and I will be happy that we'll look at the next conference to look how we bring more good through the internet and through these platforms. Again, I want to thank everybody that came, my international colleagues, and the Deputy Prime Minister. I think that's a real honor. When I go to a lot of conferences, I don't see the support of the government as I see it in this. Yesterday was the Vice President, the Vice Prime Minister, and I think this shows, and this is something I say almost in every conference I go, if we really want to change the world, we need the government, we need the civil society, we need businesses, the corporates, and we need the people together. Only like this will change. Nobody alone will change the world. So thank you very much for coming, and I hope you'll have a great conference today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaynan. You know, there's a saying by one of the originators of the Afro-pop kind of music. In Pidgin, West African Pidgin, he puts it this way: water no get enemy. That means water does not have an enemy. And that's what the internet is. We might say all the bad things about it, but we just have to find a way to make it work. Because at the end of the day, it's better than it is worse. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I'd like to call on the representative of the Youth Internet Governance Forum, and that's no other one than Ms. Dhisti Jugmohun. Can we put our hands together?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dhisti Jugmohun, and I'm a young girl of 18 residing in Mauritius. Yesterday, we had the Mauritius Youth Internet Governance Forum 2018. There were around 40 people who participated in the forum. And being myself a participant, I went home enriched with knowledge and expertise from national and international expertise. We had the opening address by Mr. Mahendranath Busgopaul, the Secretary General of Halley Movement and the coordinator of Mauritius International Governance Forum. We also had the speech of His Worship, the Mayor of the Municipal of Beatrice, Mr. Daniel Lowen, and the Honorable Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Local Government, Outer Island, Honorable Mrs. Fazila Jiwa Doriaou, did her opening address. We had keynote address by Ms. Beatrice Gacengo, who is Program Specialist of IGFSA International. Ms. Beatrice honored us with interesting talk about her organization, which is initially made to end sexual exploitation of children online. She explained to us that social media should cooperate to fight against cybercrime and intervene quickly to stop those who use internet and social media to harass youngsters. Ms. Anna introduced us to three speakers under the theme of addressing cybercrime and online exploitation of children in Africa. Each of the speakers bring out a different aspect of it. We had a presentation from Angrast and a student of Kaynan University, Ms. Melissa Colley, who talked about internet. Ms. Eri Suzuki of UNICEF showed us how her organization is helping kids all around the world. The roles and responsibilities of civil society in online child protection involve Mr. Fabrice Lindsay of civil society, who elaborate on challenges faced by youngsters on internet. We get to know the impact of internet on youngsters, where a savvy child can access anything from latest cake decoration video to porn, which makes parent oversight difficult to see. At least at the same time, web is also a wonderful resource where your child can explore interesting subjects, learn new skills, and make new friends. At last but not the least, Ms. Emilia Gandhi presented us to Mr. Vikash Ogoji, IT manager of Intel Limited, who tells us how he uses internet in his field. Mr. Karim Ahmed Usami, National Computer Board, clears us on Africa and the digital future about this web. question and answer session was quite captivating. Question was both asked from members of the conference and also people viewing us online on Facebook Live. To conclude, I'm representing the youth. I can say we all make use of internet, as internet is a mirror of the society. We must think before we use the words, what we share, and be careful of what we are doing. I thank Halley Movement and Mauritius International Governance Forum for organizing this forum in favor of young people in Mauritius. On an ending note, I will agree with Mr. Mahendranath Busgopaul, who stated in his speech today that indeed internet is free and open source for all youngsters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dhisti. We apologize for skipping an agenda, and that's the video message. So we're going to proceed to listening to the video message from Mr. Marcus Kummer, Chairman, Internet Governance Forum Support Association. It's a 5 minutes video.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I am Marcus Kummer. I'm the chair of the IGF Support Association's Executive Committee. It gives me great pleasure to deliver a message to a meeting on behalf of the IGFSA. Let me start by explaining who we are and what our purpose is. The IGFSA was set up in 2014 with the purpose, and I quote from our Articles of Association, to promote and support the global IGF as well as the national and regional IGF initiatives. And our scope article says that we should provide funds to maintain and strengthen the IGF Secretariat and national regional IGF initiatives, to seek and promote exchange and collaboration with national and regional IGF initiatives, to identify new sources of funding and facilitate funding of the IGF, and make contributions to the IGF administered by the United Nations. Now, so far, we have been recognized by the UN as a contributor to the IGF Trust Fund, and we have contributed US dollars 260,000 to the trust fund so far. And we have made contributions to the NRIs of US dollars 235,000, and these contributions are expected to grow. If you look at the NRI map that has been developed by the IGF Secretariat, you can see that it's a really, truly impressive global network by now. And this is reflected in the IGFSA support. In 2015, we supported 23 NRIs. In 2016, 28, and last year we supported 41, and this number is expected to grow. Now let me take a step back and explain why we think this is important. If we look back at WSIS's outcome in 2005, there was a chapter devoted to internet governance, and its main message was the internet governance, it's not just the business of governments. Governments can't do it alone. They need the input of all stakeholders. They need to work with the private sector. It is the private sector that makes investments. They have to work with the technical community. It's a technical community that develops technology and the standards, and they also have to work with civil society. Civil society plays an important role as a watchdog. This is what has been commonly known as the multi-stakeholder approach. The global debate we have in the IGF, it is important. It is important for the exchange of information, for the sharing of good practices, for learning from each other, and for shaping global opinion and policies. But good internet governance begins at home, and here is where the NRIs play an important role. Many policy decisions with real impact on the internet are taken at the national or regional level. Governments are the ultimate decision makers, but the NRIs provide a platform to give input into the decision-making process. Multi-stakeholder participation is not an end in itself. It is a means towards an end. The ultimate objective of multi-stakeholder policy dialogue on issues pertaining to the internet And that's from the definition of the IGF as it was set out in the 2 weeks agenda. The ultimate objective of this is to have a better internet. An internet that is global, open, interoperable, stable and secure. And the contribution the NRIs can make to this end is to have better and effective participative governance of a global resource, the internet. The NRIs play an important role in shaping decisions. They have a real impact. And with this, I wish you an excellent meeting. Thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time, can we proceed to the next item on the agenda, and that would be an address by End Child Prostitution and Trafficking, ECPAT, and it will be delivered by Ms. Esther, Beatrice, Kavesu, Gacengo. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Beatrice.
His Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy and Public Utilities, Honorable Ivan Leslie Collendavelloo, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very grateful to be part of this important event and to represent ECPAT International, because it's a day dedicated to just discussing the protection of children in this age of the internet. And you know, this is a very important issue. When I think of the internet personally, I think of it as a double-edged sword when it comes to the protection of children. On one hand, it has a lot of good. We know it's not really all problems. We know it can promote the rights of children. For example, children nowadays use the internet as an educational tool. When they're doing homework, of course, they refer to the internet and they do research. So there's a lot of information. They access information. It's a tool where they socialize and meet children from all over the world, their peers. We also know they use it to express themselves. And all these are positive issues when it comes to children. But on the other hand, it has also brought in some risks. It exposes children to risks that they never had before. For example, through the internet, sex offenders are able to access children and sexually exploit them. We also know there's the issue of violence because of cyberbullying. And when it comes to these issues, it's not an issue that can be solved by one stakeholder. It needs civil society agents, it needs the internet community to provide solutions, it needs law enforcement, we need policymakers, we need the public, plus children themselves. And when I look at this forum today, I see we are all represented, all those sectors of society are represented here today. And I believe by the end of the day, we will have had really rich interactions and deliberations, because we are all here to look for solutions for children. And as ECPAT International, I believe the experience that we have will also richly impact and enhance the discussions today. And just to let you know a bit about ECPAT International, this is a global network of civil society organizations that have only one sole aim, and that is to end the sexual exploitation of children. We have 1 or 2 members, civil society members, in 93 countries. And in Africa, we have 25 members in 24 countries. And I'm happy to report that the Halley movement, which is organizing this event, is part of our network. And as part of the efforts that they've been, or projects that they've been doing to end the exploitation of children, is the research that they conducted in 2007 that was looking at the impact of the internet on children, and they came up with recommendations. And from the recommendations, the government took on board some of the things that they recommended. And because of that research, there was a committee formed just to look at online safety of children that is still ongoing, and the Halley movement is part of this. And we believe through the Halley movement and through other network members that we have all over the world, we have very rich experience, and I'm hoping that today we're going to share those experiences. And also the experiences that the other stakeholders have brought, I hope are going to enrich all that this workshop is all about. And I thank you for participating in this forum, and I wish us all very rich deliberations today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Beatrice. Yesterday we were having a conversation with her, and I asked her if she has tried Barata. I don't know if you have. You have. someone here has to take her after this submit to try karate in other Mauritian girls. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not always, it's not what you see every day when you have conferences like this and you have every single part of the society coming together to deliberate. It's what I would call the chicken and egg scenario, where we ask, which should come first, the chicken or the egg? Some people say the chicken because it's going to bring about the egg. Some say the egg is going to bring about the chicken. And that's what happens in the society sometimes when other stakeholders say it's the problem of the government, and the government says it's the problem of other stakeholders. But here today we find the egg and the chicken, every stakeholder coming together and saying we have to bring about a new egg. We have to bring about a new chicken. Ladies and gentlemen, we put our hands together as we welcome the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy and Public Utilities, the Honorable Ivan Leslie Collendavelloo. Welcome, sir.
Good morning to you all. First of all, Mr. Busgopaul, Secretary General Halley Movement, Mr. Kaynan Rabino of Good Deeds Day, Ms. Dhisti Jugmohun. Very impressed to see young Mauritian women being so involved in such important matters. And of course, Ms. Beatrice, and all of you, distinguished participants. First of all, thank you. Thanks to the Halley movement and all the partners, organizers of the Mauritius Internet Governance Forum for having invited me today. This is a multi-stakeholder forum, and I'm so happy to have heard everyone before me talking of internet governance as not being a matter of government, but as being a matter for all of us. Not only stakeholders, NGOs, governments, etc., but also everyone who is at home, every parent, every teacher, every headmaster, everyone has got a role to play in this. And today we are focusing on the promotion of child protection. And that will be focused, I'm sure, on Mauritius, where we have serious problems, serious issues. And the important factor is that we are encouraging dialogue between state actors and the non-state actors. You know, in 1985, when I was preparing a few notes for my intervention of today, I remembered in 1985 I bought my first computer. In those days you didn't have the PC. You had two major makes. One was Commodore, the other one was Acorn. I bought Acorn because it was coupled with BBC. It was very educational. I bought it for my children who were 5 and 4 and who were refusing to use their copybooks and their pens to learn and write. They never liked learning. So I bought this computer, 45,000 rupees in 1985. That was a lot of money. And we had to buy these floppy disks, huge floppy disks, 7 inches, and put in there. And they learned how to write, how to form their letters, and they learned lots of things over the next few years. But of course, then came the PC. And I went to Singapore to buy my first laptop. You didn't have laptops in Mauritius. it was 75,000 rupees in 1990 in Singapore. So that was the state of it all, until Tim Berners-Lee in 1990 invented the World Wide Web. Extraordinary what he did. Nobody believed in him. And the key in this is that he refused to have either him or his boss, CERN of Switzerland, registering this as a patent. He said, this is a tool which must be available for the world, and therefore it's free, first of all, and normally you don't need permission to access the web. I say normally because if you were fortunate enough to live in North Korea, probably you need to have a string of authorizations before you could access the web. And in a few other countries as well, I suspect. So, certain sites are restricted. Unfortunately, for instance, the Supreme Court website, you need to register, you need to have a password, you need to change the password every 3 months, and then of course you forget the password, then you have to register with the administrator to tell him who you are, and you've got to answer a question, are you a robot? And of course, if I was a robot, I would need to answer the question at all. And then they give you a new password, which you forget immediately. On the other hand, you have the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. You just go there, and I read my judgments of the Privy Council on my telephone. It's extremely accessible. I don't have my telephone here because I normally keep it outside. I don't bring it to conferences. But I mean, I would have been reading my speech or checking things on my telephone. Isn't it fascinating what has happened since 1985? Oh gosh, when I remember what it was like, and today, 2018, what we have. You talk about motor cars. Let's talk about knives. Knives have been in existence for millenniums, and it's an everyday occurrence in everybody's kitchen. But knives can be misused as well, as we know. Domestic violence, bandits, crooks, or whatever, may use knives, ordinary tools, to do mischief. Now, what does government do? Government must, that is the first task of government. It is to protect its citizens. Now, some people need, everyone needs protection, but some people need more protection than others, and there are the vulnerable ones. The gullible. I read on the papers yesterday about this poor lady who goes to Facebook and sees that handsome young man who's looking for a lady friend, and she sees him, and of course it's the photograph of an obscure actor somewhere, fake photograph, and that actor promises love, marriage, etc., and diamonds, of course, and she says she's going to receive the parcel, and she sends money to receive the parcel, 72,000 rupees, which she lost. We've got to protect that person. How do you protect her against herself? Because she's an adult. Now, the Now, we've got a problem there, because my daughter of 1985, who's now, of course, well advanced in years, no longer needs protection, and at that time she didn't need protection, because everything was on a floppy. So I had control on what there was in that floppy. Today, a kid whose age 10 has a telephone. I've got two telephones. I've got a Nokia, which I bought 450 rupees. And it's wonderful because you actually use it to phone. But I use it and I find it marvelous. It never breaks down, it falls, it doesn't break. It's and you talk to the other person, and then I've got another one which government gave me, and I've got to use it for my official purposes. It is called a smartphone. It is bigger. It has got lots of diagrams on it, and you can do lots of things. And in the hand of a child, it becomes a dangerous weapon. And that is our role. And that is your role. Now, civil society, NGOs are often the first witnesses on the scene. And they provide that complementary service to victims of abuse. Government cannot do that. Because if government does that, it becomes intrusive. Then it is governing. It becomes directive. Whereas NGOs, civil society, has got the structure to do it. We are a touristic destination and therefore vulnerable to sexual exploitation of minors, especially with social media platforms, instant messaging, etc. Now, what does government do? First of all, we've got to put up policies, systems to prevent online child abuse. That is why the Ministry of Gender Equality, Child Development and Family Welfare is now preparing a children's bill. And of course, there will be provisions for the protection of the rights of the child to privacy. The Ministry of Technology, Communication and Innovation, or one of the various state parastatals which fall under that ministry, will promote child protection online. Minister Sominaden, who's the Minister of Technology, is in the front line of this battle. In fact, en passant, I must thank him because he helped me. When I was told I had to make a speech here today, I said, oh my God, I'm the Minister of Energy. I can speak on electricity, I can speak on water. So he helped me a lot, and I've got to pay him homage and just say that all that I'm saying, it doesn't come out of my mind. There is intellectual property in there. It's also Minister Sobidanen's work. Now, we've got something which is called the ICTA, the authority, which under the Act of 2001 must regulate or curtail harmful or illegal content on internet or other information and communication services. This is done through the Child Sexual Abuse Online Content Filtering System. The centralized content filtering solution, which also complies with the Child Protection Act 1994, is meant to prevent people from accessing and circulating child abuse images in Mauritius. At the same time, it aims to protect against accidental viewing, giving people in Mauritius the confidence in the internet that they deserve. And that is the key word. If we want internet to be valuable, people must trust the internet. And let's take an example. If somebody is preparing general paper at HSC and has been asked to prepare a project on child prostitution, and he or she types child prostitution on Google, you have articles by lecturers, probably by Beatrice online, but you'll also have articles leading you to networks or child abuse, etc. How do you separate that? How do you differentiate all this? And that's the problem of the internet. It is the accidental misuse. The guy who takes the knife to plunge into his spouse, well, he's doing it consciously. It can be accidental. I don't never believe in this story that I was walking with a knife and my wife came in and suddenly she appeared in front of me and she fell on the knife. You don't have it. But you have this on the internet, and that is where we've got to be very careful. But at the same time, we've got to be very careful that we don't become Big Brother, that we don't try and spy on our kids. So where do you draw the line? That's what you're going to do here. And I hope with fascinating result. We are going to enhance reporting mechanisms so that people can report whenever there is abuse. For the moment, relating to children, there is the Child Development Unit. But again, whose responsibility is it ultimately? It is for the parents to ensure that they have an adequate monitoring system in their home to ensure that their children on the smartphone are not becoming victims of abuse. It cannot be the responsibility of external persons. We provide, since June 2018, a free mobile app called the Family Welfare App, where citizens can report cases related to child or domestic abuse. There is, if I can mention, Mauritius cybercrime online reporting system, recently launched by the Computer Emergency Response Team of Mauritius. That is a department of the National Computer Board. I don't know if NCB is here. You are? Ah, lovely. This website, NCB will be able to tell us a little bit more about it, whether it works, whether people know about it, or what has been the response. This website, again, allows citizens to report incidents occurring on social media. Of course, online harassment, we all know that. We all get that every day on our emails. Hacking, offensive, contents, illegal contents, and of course I'm talking of pornography, child pornography, violence and graphic content. I'm not talking of the adult protection. I don't think you need to be protected unless you have a special reason to be protected. Sextortion, cyber bullying, all these are matters on which we need to be very careful. Now, today, what we're going to try to do, what you are trying to do, is to improve the situation. And I'm sure that the results of your work will be of great interest to us. This is why I must thank you, the Halley Movement partners, for this very laudable initiative. I wish you fruitful deliberations and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that wonderful address. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the first session. However, we have